Everyone, I am so excited to speaking with author Owen Mullen about his newest book called Family, and you guys are all seeing the cover of it right now. I love the cover. It's so different than your other covers. It's beautiful. Did you pick it out? Did you have anything to say about it?
No, they sent it to us and said, what do you think of this? We'd had discussions about what it should look like, given the content of the book. And then they went away, and I had various ideas about what I didn't want. And they come back with that. And as soon as we saw it, we both said, wow, it's a kind of classy looking, I mean, they're gangsters, but it's kind of a classy looking cover, isn't it?
I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's really what's getting popular right now with the colors and everything. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a step up. All the book covers are getting so much more colorful. And I was so happy to see that you got such a great cover for this book. Let's talk Glass Family. Let's talk about them.
Okay, well, I'll tell you. Family, my new book, a crime thriller set in London. I had the idea for the book for years. I got the idea maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I wrote actually the beginning of it. I won't give too much away. The crime at the start of the thing, I wrote that, and I wrote about him and his brother and the sister. I maybe wrote about 10 or 12,000 words, and then I got distracted by writing something else, or a publisher would say, "What, you need a new book?" Yeah, and I'd come back to it and I'd leave it. Eventually, the opportunity occurred, and I got a chance to finish it. Kind of knew it was a good one. See, I've been writing for a while now, and here's a funny thing. After a while, if you're paying attention, not only can you write a book, you actually know how to do it. Maybe even what a modern audience is wanting now. In the 21st century, people want fast pace, they want action, and then someone will write to you and say, I thought it was a bit slow when you've spent some time developing a character. My idea was to try to get the balance between the pacey plot, the pacey storylines, and the depth in the characters. And I think from some of the people who have written back to me, I seem to have succeeded, certainly with one or two characters that they talk about a lot. Danny, for example, who was a really easy character to write. You'll probably ask me about that. I wrote the book, sent it away to this new publisher who are really ripping it up, called Boldwood Books. And they wrote back and said, wow, this book is fabulous. This isn't what publishers normally say to you. They're normally nice, but they're a bit more reserved than, wow, this is fabulous. So, and it turns out, they said, would you like to come and join us? Well, of course, the answer to that was easy. I didn't want to come. And I have to tell you, Michelle, the journey with them so far, that was back in May, perhaps. The journey with them has just been a different experience for me. I've really loved it. I'm meeting on Zoom. I'm meeting with them on Thursday, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. But of course, it's big excitement because the book is out on Thursday. It's been on pre-sale for 11 weeks. It's done really, really well. It's sold a lot of copies even before it's out. We're hopeful that this is a kind of breakaway book for us, you know?
I mean, I've been a big fan of yours, but this book, of course, I loved your last book too. Your last two books to me are so special. I felt like you really took me to a different place with them. I got attached to every character because you do the different points of views for each one of the characters. We have Danny, we have Nina, and we have Luke. Siblings. I only have one sibling, but I can relate. I could relate to the sibling. I thought you handled it perfect between them. What did you like when I was reading it, I was like, do you have siblings, Owen?
Yeah, I have two sisters.
Two sisters. Okay, so that's why Nina came pretty easy for you, right?
Well, I'm the Danny in the family. I'm the eldest. So they all do everything I say. No.
Because I loved her. I loved her character so much. Each one of the characters you fall in love with, and then you kind of back off. You have us guessing. You're like, wait, I don't know. Should I be loving them right at this moment? And then you drag me back into it. I'm like, oh no, they're good. Okay, we're good here. And then of course, it's a crime. How would you say it? Yeah, I guess I would say a crime novel. Each one of them has a past. Each one of them has a part of their character that's a little bit shady.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You see, the thing about family is every family is dysfunctional to some degree or other. Although in our family we all got on terrifically well, but occasionally there are, tensions. I used to never look forward to Christmas Day. I looked forward to it, and then when I was there after a few hours, I kind of wanted to get away. I'm a bit weird, of course, but every family's a bit. It's all different and all the same. Every family's a bit dysfunctional. So if you take this family, the Glass family, and kind of ramp that up, ratchet that up about 100 times till you've got some really, really strange people.
Really
It's
tense.
very easy to write. Danny was a very easy character to write. I don't know Danny, but I know different people who are Danny, people who love their music, people who get his prejudices, or xenophobics or don't like. And he's tremendously patriotic guy with the photograph of the Queen on the wall, even though he's a real badass gangster. Why does he like the royal family? But for some reason he does, because he's very fun. And in today's world, there's all this, we'll call it patriotism. I wouldn't think it is, but there's all this nationalistic spirit around. So Danny kind of embodies a bit of that. Even when he says, he's talking about the hookers, and he says, what? East European hookers? What's wrong with English hookers? As if English hookers are somehow superior to Yugoslavian hookers or something.
Right.
So he's an easy guy to write. And as we see his descent into madness, again, I sat down every day and I really had fun with that. I also knew from the beginning, as I normally do, I also knew where the book was going. And it is a bit, you're right to say it's a bit of a difference for me, because gangland is a niche. And although I've done kind of gangland things with Sean Rafferty up in Glasgow, and that's who I'm writing just now, by the way, I think I have a little bit of a surprise for Charlie Cameron fans later in the year. These guys it's a different look at them. I think that's what I'm trying to say, because it's from this family thing. I mean, if you think way back 50 years ago to The Godfather,
Right.
where you have the reluctant Michael,
Yeah.
who ends up, a shell because of the pressures of controlling the reins of that dynasty. So I wanted to have some of that kind of tension involved in the thing. Adding a female, of course, a sister, who's got her own ideas about everything, goes her own way. And although he's a big, bad gangster, he couldn't control his sister. And that seems to be completely rings true. Not that I want to control my sister. My sisters are great.
I have 6 children. You know that, right? But
Yeah.
my 2 girls are in the middle. They would say the same things. They call them the sisters, all my sons, because they're like, oh my God, those crazy sister, like, like they always say that they can't control the sisters. I do want to talk about the prologue, because we're not going to, obviously we don't want to talk ending, even though you blew me away with this ending. Oh my gosh. I actually kind of got emotional. And then I was like, is it because I'm in my late 50s? Do I just get emotional? I don't know. It brought out an emotion in me because I didn't see it coming. We'll leave it at that. But let's talk how you start this book off, because I went back and I reread the prologue when I was done with the book, because I wanted to see where you started me from. Oh my gosh. I was like, wow, look at what I knew, so much more, right? Going back and reading the prologue then. But tell us about the process. So just give us a little bit about the story through the prologue.
Okay, well, that's the part I was saying to you that I wrote, the opening scene. All my books, I think you read most of my books, Michelle, all my books start with what I call the grabber. That's like the bit, I've said this to you before in interviews. I don't, as a reader, I don't want to get to page 152 and say to myself, when is this book going to start? So I want to right away, within the first couple of pages, make a kind of a promise to the reader that says, stick with this book, because there's stuff in here, there's things going to happen. In the very early stage, one of the things that I tried to capture was the voice of Luke. He's got that cynical voice where he commits the crime, and the final line, you may not remember it, I would love to see it, but when he commits the crime, and his statement about it is kind of amusing. even though he's just done a terrible, terrible thing. And then then we go to chapter 1, and he's coming out 7 years later, a changed man from the guy who was on that skyscraper with Albert Anderson. That kind of set the whole scene. It's important when you write. People talk about this kind of thing, and I didn't used to understand what they meant. You do have to capture the voice. That means you do have to understand how the character thinks a bit, how he sounds, the kind of things he would say, what his attitudes are, what his reactions will be. Sometimes I'll write something, and Christine, my wife, will read it and say, nah, this woman wouldn't react that way. And I say, wouldn't she? Well, how would she react? She said, well, she would probably think this. So you probably say, oh, right, hold on. So I'm getting that input there to keep me in touch with the voice. And of course, it isn't just one voice. There's Luke's voice. Danny is a different character, a harder character. Nina is the female. Actually, Nina is really the female Danny.
Yes.
She's a ruthless person.
We find that out, don't we?
we do find that out. And her and Luke, because they're younger than Danny, and they have got this affinity. I mean, some of your kids will have a closer affinity than they will have with some other kid. Not because there's anything wrong with other people, because just that's the way life is. To try to capture all that, weave it into a story that was basically about power and corruption. My gangsters, I think, are in the business they're in for the right reasons. They're in it for power and for money and for sex as well, of course. So they're not in it because they've got some petty score to settle, although they do all that as well. But really, they're in it because they want power, they want money. And the background to those two kids, hard to call them kids when you've read the book because they're such vile characters, I guess. Luke, and although Luke isn't all bad, I mean, you must remember, Michelle, in fiction, nobody is all bad. Hitler was probably good to Eva Braun. I think I said that to you the other night, perhaps. Dr. No, one of the things that occurred to me recently, you know Dr. No in the movie? Well, when at the opening scene, when first time he meets James Bond, he's sitting in the chair stroking a cat. So the guy who wants to blow up the world likes cats. There's a little piece of humanity in him, and I capture that. I try to capture that with Danny when his jukebox gets broken and his favourite Kinks song gets cracked, and he's on his knees and he's in tears. You think, like, he's just an ordinary person, my record's broken. You know, in actual fact, he's a homicidal maniac.
Oh, I love this book. I can't wait to see what it does for you as a writer. I think, it does remind me, like when I say crime, and yes, it's a lot like The Godfather in the fact that it's a family, but your books always have that element of James Bond in it. Always, to me.
Really?
Oh, always. I can always, like, I did picture Danny with that kind of like swagger a bit, you know, but then Luke kind of had it sometimes too, which I really loved Luke. I had a heart for Luke. I can't say more, but I did. Even as the book went, I had a heart for him. He tried to do good. He was trying to make it better. I want to say, you know, trying to calm Danny, trying to, you know, play Nina. He was like the peacemaker in a way between them. Yeah. Then we find out things, so we can't we can't say too much. But read the book. And before I let you go, though, what my question for you is: what is next? Where do you go from here? Are we going to continue with them, or are you going in a totally different direction?
The publisher I'm with, Old Road Books, they have also acquired my entire back catalogue, all my backlist. Yeah. And actually, they sent me the new covers today. Things you've read, but Out of the Silence, Games People Play. Change the names of a couple of the books to make them a bit snappier. So Before the Devil Knows You're Dead is now called Whistleblower. So they sent me all these covers today, and they all look great, and that's fine. And they're going to have. They're telling me they're going to have a year of Owen Mullen. I feel as if I've really landed on my feet with them, you know. And what's next with the Glass book is the next one comes out in July. The Glass book 2. It'll probably be on pre-sale in a few days. When the other one comes up, they tend to put the next one. And the third one comes out in January 2022. So there are 3. I've written 2 of them, and it is
happy that you're continuing with this story. So happy! You just made my day, because I was really thinking, I was like, I hope he sticks with this, and I didn't know for sure if you were going to.
Well, another thing about them, book two isn't book one with a different name. It's different stuff, different things happen. I think, can't remember how much. I think it's 3 years on, and what's happened since what happened 3 years back.
Right.
And there are different surprises in it. I don't think it's quite as violent as the first one. It's plenty violent, and there's plenty of sex and all that stuff. But I don't think it's quite as the big scene in the middle with the Picasso Club made that book more violent than probably anything I've written. It's untypical in that respect.
I thought that when I was reading it, I was like, whoa, this I think has to be the height of your violent, because your books usually aren't like that, but I enjoyed it. I mean, trust me, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is about that scene that we were talking about, but not telling anybody about, it comes in the middle of the book. Normally you would have the big scene at the end, but because what I wanted to do was have the big scene and then explore the consequences of that, how the relationships fracture, how everyone's affected, and what goes on from there. Because as we go through the book, and if you went back to the beginning, almost from the very beginning, not the very beginning, but quite soon into the book, I start to mislead the reader, misdirect the reader intentionally, so that they don't suss what's coming. And that you've still got a whole book to take that through. And I wanted Luke to be not Danny. Luke's a terrible guy, but he's a nicer terrible guy than his brother. That's the best you can say about it, perhaps.
That's right. So everybody, this book comes out on Thursday, the 21st. Hopefully this video will be out on the 20th, so it's a day ahead. That is the goal.
Thank you for that.
Yes, absolutely. That is the goal. But I am so happy that we're going to be talking, now that we figured out this Zoom thing, Owen, we can talk again in July when the next one comes out.
We'll talk again in July for sure. I'll drop you a line and make sure. I can't have a book out without Michelle doing a review.
I feel
there are some things that need to be in the world, Michelle. You know what I mean? And in an uncertain world, Michelle reviewing an Owen Mullen book is one of the things that needs to happen.
Oh, thank you so much, Owen. So I'll put the picture up there one more time for you guys to see it. I can't wait, Owen. I'm gonna be stalking you on social media to see what goes on with this book. And
do that.
Yeah, beyond social media all day Thursday, because we'll be on there, and you'll be getting lots of.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Stay safe, Michelle.
Yes, you too. I thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.